Good morning, Brent. Welcome to Real Vision.
Morning. I'm glad to be here with you.
Yeah, really excited to have this conversation because you come from such an interesting background. Not only have you been successfully investing in developing properties across the country and even outside the country, but you've gotten interested in this burgeoning new world of crypto. And I'm really excited to kind of dive into what you're working on there. But before we do that, why don't we start with just tell us a little bit about your background and how you came to be the president and managing partner of Nolan Reynolds International.
Sure. So, my background more out of a construction, education and industry, and has led me into private real estate development, very similar to my partner and the company's history, in that our company morphed out of a construction company, transitioned into private real estate development in the early 70s, and really has covered the full spectrum of real estate, from residential, hospitality, commercial, light industrial. And in everything we do, we always look at developing real estate with a long-term hold perspective. And by default, that's made us, I would say, as much operators as developers. We have a forward-looking vision when we plan and program something. Is it going to work for the long term? And in doing so, as we get into that process, further, we have become we are typically vertically integrated in everything that we do. Case in point was, our self-storage industry. At one point, we're the largest privately held self-storage companies in the industry until about 2006. And that was a brand that we started. It was a management platform that we started, and we acquired, built, owned, and operate all of our own assets. It's very similar to what we're doing today with our mixed use and hospitality. Our mixed use projects, are typically anchored with a hospitality element, whether that's truly a hotel and or some other form of hospitality. There's that component that creates that 24/7 activation. So much so, in terms of being true to our roots, we've created our own hospitality brand, Casa Chameleon, and which currently exists outside of the U.S., and then the Thesis brand that exists here in Coral Gables, Florida.
That's great. And when I was preparing for this interview, I did some research and see what I could find about you and your company on the internet, and stumbled across a website that describes a pretty fascinating, long-term history for this company, going back, over 100 years or something like that, and including stuff in the war period and doing infrastructure projects in the post-war period. So tell me a little bit about that.
It's an interesting history, and if you come into our Minnesota office or even our office here in South Florida, you'll see these massive black and white frames of some of our historical projects, massive infrastructure projects for the U.S. government, whether it's Air Force bases, wastewater treatment plants, dams, what have you. And just the magnitude of those projects and what it takes to program and execute on them is something that we've carried through our history, right? We've taken that knowledge and the skill set that we've built over the years from the construction industry and have applied it to the development, programming, and visioning, right? It's starting from a very small element and building everything around that. But in order to get from A to B, we've got to make sure everything is programmed and everyone is paying attention to the finest details possible. So, if you look at some of our products, they may not be the most well-known or sexiest in the far-off history, but they are some of the most complex construction projects within the U.S. So again, we've taken the skill set that we've learned from that industry and applied it to the development industry and the operating industry. And it really all comes back down to some key principles, which is paying attention to details and being hands-on. So if you look at our organization, you talk to our partners and or our consumers, I think one thing that you'll hear consistently is that we're very hands-on in our approach to everything.
Now that infrastructure is sort of back on the table in America, or maybe back on the table, do you think you guys would ever get back into that space?
Probably not. The construction industry has been, I think, shaped and changed forevermore thanks to our insurance and legal industry. So we like to stay focused on products that, again, we can maintain that interaction with throughout the life of the asset. Typically, when you're in the construction industry, you build it and you really never visit again outside of your warranties. But when you build these mixed-use projects and/or hospitality, you're touching every element, whether it's the ongoing maintenance of the facility itself or the consumer experience. You're always interacting with the product that you build. And that's something that really keeps us energized.
How did you get interested in crypto in the first place?
So it's interesting. And I think it's best answered by giving a little bit of history of how we approach real estate. Depending on the size of the project, we either finance our projects internally with principal capital or with our internal fund, or as projects grow in size and capital requirement, it's through a typical LP-GP structure. And because we, as I mentioned earlier, we have that long-term outlook on real estate, we typically have anywhere from 3 to 4 capital events in a life cycle of an asset. So we will acquire, we'll plan, program, build, we will open it, we'll recapitalize, we'll stabilize, we'll recapitalize, we'll hold it for the long term until the life of the asset requires a total revamp of that product, and then recapitalize and start over again. So as we go through this, we typically trade in and out of the debt and equity at each phase. And we've been creatures of comfort for many years, where we've used the same banks, the same partners, the same institutional partners over and over again. And as we brought on these, what I would call legacy projects in Coral Gables, we felt it was the right time to consider looking at new ways to finance our projects. And as we typically do on a semi-annual basis, we survey our investors of what's going on, what's going well, what's not going well, what can we do to improve. And consistently over the time that we have surveyed our investment partners, one of the things that we hear again and again is, we enjoy the investments, we enjoy working with you, but if we could take back a little bit more control over our investment horizon versus just your business plan, that would be beneficial. So rather than a third party coming in, investing with us and saying, here's our money, we'll invest with you for your 3 to 5 year business plan. At the end of that period, whether there's a sale or recapitalization event, we get our money back and our return. We'd like to have some control within that time period. So that's always been something that has been stuck in the back of our mind. And as this blockchain and digital security concept has become more mainstream, we thought, is there a way to capitalize on this concept, not only to give the transparency to the process, but to give the control back to our investors? And that's where we got involved with tokenization. And as we started doing our research on, really what is tokenization and what does this mean to the consumer and or the investor, and how could this be a benefit? The one thing that was intriguing to me was the ability to potentially trade your interest in and out at your discretion on a secondary market, and offer a path to liquidity. So from there, we started exploring it more, and we said, okay, how do we put all this together? There's so many moving parts. It's very new. It's evolving. There's a lot of people getting into this space. We are probably, if you look at the spectrum of real estate developers and investors, you have on one end of the spectrum, very institutionalized approach, right? Kind of that's the the core, private equity, mainstream New York, lending institutions, and then you have the individual developer kind of just doing it with his own cash, right? Extremely unstructured, right? So, and if you apply that to this tokenization evolution of these digital securities, I'd say everybody's kind of more on the back of the pickup truck type scenario, right? It's just kind of finding your own way, working through it. And the institutions are intrigued by the concept, but there's not enough regulation, there's not enough structure around it. So we said we need to think about this from an institutional perspective, but structure it in such a way that as the space evolves, we can take those new ideas in, digest them, mold them to our structure, and output them in an institutional manner.
Hey, if you like this clip, be sure to check out the full interview and more only on realvision.com/crypto. It's 100% free. Sign up now.